we're going to be extracting that and processing that to produce first a product called military-grade antimony trisulfide. That's what our objective. That's what we're tasked with our Department of War grant. But then to sustain production and for longer-term planning, we're looking to establish a resource there on the antimony as well.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom, and joining me now is Christopher Gerteisen. He is the CEO of novamineralslimited. Limited. And Christopher, good to see you. How are you?
Excellent, Steve. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good to have you along. I know that you're got a lot of things going on right now, so we're glad we got you in for an interview. So let's remind everyone first off just a bit about the company and the project as well, so we get that up to date.
Sure. Nova Minerals, it's all about our flagship Estelle Gold and Critical Minerals project here in Alaska, about 100 miles west of Anchorage, down in south central Alaska, where we are after the gold, of course. And to date, we've been very successful in that realm. We're working on our feasibility study, as well as then also antimony is our first critical mineral that we're after. And we've been the recipient of a Department of War grant for that, $43 million to bring that domestic production back to the U.S. here with the antimony. So we're feverishly working to be successful with bringing antimony production online here over the next 9 to 12 months.
Yeah, and that's what today's news release is about. Is the 2026 field season is beginning. So give us a bit of an idea about the type of work that's going to happen this year.
We are ramping up, and it's an exciting time every year. What we're doing is drill, baby, drill, of course. And so that's for the gold and the antimony. We have rigs, 3 rigs mobilizing now. And we should be in early June. We should already get that first drilling rig turning. Mainly, the first rigs will be focused on RPM. That's one of our gold deposits. And with this feasibility study, it's related to that. We're infill drilling and also expanding the resource, trying to prove up these resources to make our feasibility study as robust as possible. So there's that part of it. So most of the gold drilling will be on RPM. And then, of course, as part of this antimony project, we're also going to be drilling our Stibium prospect to define a resource. Now, for the viewers to understand, what you'll see is you'll actually see antimony production before we even come out with a resource. And that's because at the antimony prospects, you see massive stibnite veining, which is the primary ore mineral for antimony, right on the surface. So we're going to be extracting that and processing that to produce first a product called military-grade antimony trisulfide. That's what our objective. That's what we're tasked with our Department of War grant. But then to sustain production and for longer-term planning, we're looking to establish a resource there on the antimony as well. So there's that. And of course, then there's lots of other field programs going on. Exploration, sampling, mapping. Every year we make new discoveries. It's quite a large property, over 200 square miles. Mm-hmm. So we have over 20 prospects already identified at various stages of advancement, and we continue to make those discoveries. So there's that. We're also currently flying what they call a ZTEM geophysics survey with a helicopter right now as we speak. That's coming. That's about to conclude, and so that'll provide a whole new data set to make new discoveries. And then, of course, all these technical studies that go into these projects, environmental studies, metallurgical, geotechnical, it goes on and on. Those will continue, and it's really high season for that as well. So just continue to advance the project here on the gold and antimony side.
Yeah, and you can go pretty hard for the next 3 months just because of where Alaska's situated and the daylight that they have. You're able to go pretty hard, right, and keep this going for a while.
That's a great point. Yeah, so not only is it the perfect field season in terms of, it's summertime in Alaska, and it's really make hay while the sun shines. And we are getting some pretty good weather here, which is great. But that's right, with the light up here, and now, we're moving in towards the summer solstice on June 20th is the longest day of the year. We pretty much have daylight for the next couple of, 2-3 months, all 24/7. And so we really take advantage of that and get things done, and we operate 24/7. There's no sleep. This is the time. And so we're really looking to be very, very productive.
Christopher, talk to me a bit about, you mentioned all the work's going into this feasibility study. So talk to me about preparing that report and where that could lead to. What would be the next steps after that? And are you looking at getting that feasibility out by the end of this year, or is it going to be in 2027?
Okay, so with the company right now, it's important to note that we're going through a redomicile. So,
Yeah.
we've always been ASX, the Australian exchange has always been our primary listing, and we've always had the ADS as a foreign issuer on the NASDAQ here in the US. We're flipping the script. So we're becoming now a US domiciled company where we'll be having common stock and US headquartered, and then we'll retain what they call CDIs in Australia to become a US company. So that's the first thing to note. So we'll be under what they call SK 1300 standard as opposed to JORC in Australia. So we'll be putting out an SK 1300 report. Now, in terms of timing, it's an iterative process. As you probably know, Steve, the more we learn, and we're trying to make it as robust as possible. Certainly, we're looking to put something out here in the next 12 months, I would say. But it really depend on what we get from our drilling this year, do a mineral resource update, and if there's still some gaps there that we need to fill in, perhaps we'll need another round of drilling next year. But I can assure you we are working out to get it out as soon as possible over the next year or so here.
Yeah. And lastly, Christopher, you mentioned, obviously, you've got the grant from the Department of War. Obviously, there's great interest in what you're doing. I imagine you get inbound and calls from people all the time talking about what's going on, not only with the gold part, which is obviously popular right now, but antimony, as you mentioned, which is really critical.
Absolutely. And there's extra urgency on it, with our DOW partners on that military grade antimony trisulfide. That's the stuff that's used in the munitions and a lot of the defense applications. This is sort of phase one, as we call it. And we've already procured mining equipment, processing equipment. And so this summer we'll be extracting ore, of course, from the prospects, but establishing first stage of processing at the site. We call that ore sorting. And it's quite a mechanical process where the material's still quite coarse. And then that coarse concentrate will go down to our Port Mackenzie facility. And at Port Mackenzie, we'll do all the downstream processing and refining. So we'll be constructing that here this summer and looking to commission that initial trisulfide plant later this year is the goal. We want to have production of military-grade antimony trisulfide by maybe the end of this year, but certainly by early next year, which is ahead of schedule. And we really want to do that because that gives us the opportunity to then continue to work with the Department of War to move on to phase two, which is then to really ramp things up, scale up the mining operations, and scale up the processing facility to not only produce trisulfide, but antimony oxide, antimony metal, and all these other antimony products, not only for Department of War and munitions purposes, but for the entire U.S. industrial base. So the real idea is to have an antimony refining hub right here in Alaska, and that's what we're at the center of, and that's what we're trying to do.
All right. Well, it's a super exciting project, super exciting company as well. Christopher, thanks so much. Good to catch up with you. And I know we're going to be talking a lot because it sounds like it's going to be a very busy summer for you. So we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good stuff. We'll see you in the next update.
All right. There's Christopher Gerteisen. He is the CEO of Nova Minerals.